Hey guys, welcome back to the Dimension Magic Games YouTube channel. I'm Bobby and I'm joined today by Jerry, and
What's
he's
up?
here. He's here to talk about the Android 17 and Android 18 red leader from I think it's set 23, the same set as Gohank's. This deck kind of got um, left behind in that meta because Gohank's was much better. But with the recent support, it's possible that this can make some waves. So Jerry's got a deck list here. He's going to go through, and then we'll talk about some of the tech choices and stuff that's in there, stuff that's not, and see if we think the anniversary box stuff actually fixes the problems the deck had prior. So Jerry, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so I always liked this leader, even when the set came out. So it stayed sleeved up. So I decided to start proxying some of the support and testing it. Overall, it seems pretty decent. Might creep its way back up, but we'll go over just some of a brief overview of the stuff that already existed, and then we'll talk about the support and what what's good about it. So, just for a brief overview, the leader is a swing search top five for any Android card, which is really nice because you can add, the broken red Hellfighter 17 and Android 17 that every Android and red deck's pretty much playing. You can grab your 8 drops or this tech choice here, just any Android card, which is really nice because there's no energy restriction like a lot of leaders. Um, but it has another cool effect. You activate main once per game. You get to add one of these little Android 20s to your hand, which is important on the backside. We'll go over. And then you awaken at 4 or less, or when you're at 2 or more energy, and you have your destroyed West City, which is this thing that came from Go Hanks used it, so everybody's pretty familiar with it. Um, and then on the backside, you have once per turn that when a 17 or 18 card attacks, you get to draw a card, which is nice because you don't always have to swing with your leader, and you're going to draw just from swinging with a battle card. So if you get floodgated, it's like, oh, I didn't lose out on my leader swing, to draw. And then it has an activate main. This is like a really good effect here to help with this deck. It's very aggressive. Um, you basically you have like any Android 20, so you have these two, and then you play one in the Z deck that we'll talk about. But you KO one of them, and then you can play a 17 or 18 card uh, that's equal to or less than your current energy count from your hand and give it barrier for the turn. And then you get to minus 15k a battle card or unison, which is actually pretty important, right? Because you can just kill some of these little unisons
Mm.
with the combination of the leader and some of these cards before you swing, right? So like on turn 2, I can nuke a Nova unison and stuff like that, which is kind of nice. You kind of stop them from using their effects. And then the other part that's cool is the once per turn activate battle. You can only on your turn though. You can beam one of your Android cards, which includes your leader. So it's like worst case scenario, your leader can be a 20k swing if you're going into a 20k Z leader or trying to kill a battle card unison, whatever. Or you can just pump any of the archetype stuff or non-archetype. So it's pretty cool. So we'll talk about the old stuff. We got the first Android 20. I do a 3-3 split. You can do a 4-2, 2-4, whatever. Honestly, it's just kind of personal preference. But I like this one more because you get to search. So a lot of times when I'm doing the activate main on the front of leader, I'm grabbing this guy so that I can search for any of my androids pretty much. I think he's top 6 or less. Yeah, 6 or less. And then this one's just a draw card one here. He just draws you a card. But both of them, they have the effect. So this guy has the effect that you can free play them from your hand if you control no battle cards in your battle area, and then you can't play Android 20s. But it is important to keep in mind that it does restrict you from the Z card because he's also an Android 20. So that's something to always keep in mind as well if you free play him. And then the both one drops have the same effect. So that's important because your turn 2, after you play out your Destroy West City, unless you're going first, and you're usually playing that on turn 1. Or second, you're playing that on turn 1. But your turn 2, you're going to awaken, replay one of these guys. You're going to pop it to play one of your 2 drops that come next because you'll be at 2 or less energy, right? So we have the 18. and the 17, both of these have an effect that when you place them under your destroyed West City, you get to add the opposite one to your destroyed West City. So you can, if you place the 18, you can go put a 17 under, and vice versa. And then they both have an effect, which those and the 3 drops have an effect that when one swings, you can play the other for 1 energy. So if I swing with the 17, I can tap 1 to play the 18. So it adds like really good aggression lines, right? Because you can go into some crazy combos with the deck. So your turn 2, you pop this guy, play one of these, and then you still have a second energy. So when you swing with 1, then you can play one of these, or here we have the 3 drops that we're going to talk about. You can play one of them as well, because they have the same effect of like when a 17 swings, you can play the 18 stuff.
Jerry, real quick, the
Yeah.
Android 20s, those starters, the 1 drops, they prevent you from playing more Android 20s from your hand, right? But I think you can still play the one from the Z deck. Is that?
Oh wait, yeah, you're right. From your
Okay.
hand for the turn. So you can still play. I guess I've been cheating myself because I haven't been playing the Z deck. Because I'm like, oh yeah, but I don't read my cards. But yeah, so yeah, never mind. You can still play this, which this will be important because this is your turn 3 combo that's pretty good with the new support. So yeah, you just can't play one of these guys again,
Yeah.
I guess, which is nice. We play some skillless. You can obviously play more or less, but like just some 20k, 30k beaters that you can still play from your hand based off your energy cost. So these are your 2 energy ones. These 3 right here. All these are from the set and archetype, everything. Now for once you're on 3 energy, this is when the deck gets really crazy, right? Like this is when you start really pushing aggression as your 3 energy turn. So for our 3 energy plays, we have this 30k skillless beat stick, which you can play off of the Z card, or your 4 energy turn we'll talk about later. We'll go over the old support first. This one, he's a double strike on play and you draw a card, which is nice. And like I said, when you swing with an 18, you can play him. And then the 17 is a minus 20k crit when it's played, which is also really nice. Because like I said, on turn 2, you could use leader effect to free play your 2 costs, right? So you play a 2 cost 17. So minus 15k a unison, like say Nuova or something like that, right? And then you can swing, like even swing at their unison because you know they're going to gain a 3rd marker. And then you can tap 1 to play this guy as part of the auto, right? Because it's when you attack. Well, no, it's at the end of the battle, I think, actually. Let me see. Yeah, at the end of the battle. So you'll put it down to 1 marker, right, from the attack and minusing from the leader. And then at the end of the battle, you tap 1, play this. And then she'll minus it another 20k and gain crit, which is all pretty cool, pretty aggressive.
Yeah, there's
right?
not much left that's netting unisons, right? That's why Tid-2 got errated, so a neat little workaround.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's still kind of cool that this leader gets to keep that effect. And then a 19k crit that your leader can make 24 on turn 2. Pretty strong, you know? And then you can do it again on turn 3. So those are the old archetype ones. Your other turn 3 play is the dual attacker, which also minuses 25k a unison or battle card. So it's like this deck can just clear unisons on turn 2, turn 3 pretty easy, which is really nice. And this one, he's cool because you don't have to use cards on your board to play him. You can use cards that we grab from under Destroyed West City, which if you know Destroyed West City, we kind of briefed over it, but you know from Go Hanks, you tuck 1, draw 1 android or 1 stand, which is nice. So that's like the old stuff for the turn 3. So now we'll talk about the new support, which is really good. So the first one, we got a dual name. It counts as a 17 and 18, which is really good because I can swing with this, and off this 1 swing, I can play the 17 and the 18 from under Destroy West City if I want to tap the 2 energy, like 1 for each. So I can swing with this, and then also get a double strike and a crit, all for 3 energy, because you play this for 1, then you tap 1 for the 17 and 1 for the 18 at the end of battle, right? This one's cool. When it's played, you draw a card, and then you can beat any of your Android cards, your red Android cards. which is really good. Leader itself, the double strike, any of them. But the other really broken effect of this card is when you put it under a 17 and 18 card, that card on top gains barrier and critical for the turn, or until the end of your opponent's turn. So it gives it a little bit more protection, right? Because we had the issue, we would play the 6-drop, and then he would just get cleared on our opponent's turn. Yeah. But now he's going to be a dual crit barrier, which is really good, right? And it's a 25k dual crit barrier guy. So, like, that's pretty insane. And then, so this card adds a lot of consistency to the deck, a lot of value. It helps us keep a board a little bit. I think this deck always struggled with keeping the board. We'd put the pressure, but everything would just die pretty much, right? Nothing had protection. Yeah. So this giving like that 6-drop barrier and letting it get bridge a turn is very impactful. Like, yeah, it'll lose the crit and barrier the next turn, but it's still a 25k dual attack, you know?
And if they want to clear it now, they have to at least deviate from their typical game plan to clear it.
Correct, yeah.
Right?
You got to use barrier removal. And even into other red decks, like, you struggle with barrier removal, right? So now you're wasting a barrier removal to kill this guy versus something else.
Yeah.
And then the other new card, this guy is really good. He's a 3-drop. Basically, we just free play him. If our opponent has 2 or more energy, we put a card on top of our deck from our hand, and then we get to play the Android 20 from our Z deck, which we'll talk about the Android 20 in a second. His other effect, which is really good because it helps us generate Z energy without wasting cards from hand, is that when our red Android attacks, we can combo with a 5k with a skills negated from the turn from our drop. So we get a free combo, which kind of helps us generate Z energy to go into some of our other Z cards without wasting cards from hand. Because this deck did struggle because a lot of the cards are just replacing themselves, not drawing outside of the leader swing. So it eventually, like, your hand would dwindle down and you wouldn't have much like defense or combo power.
Yeah, and that has a lot of synergy with the 8-drop too. I know you haven't gotten there yet, but to get that free combo.
Exactly, yeah. Sweet. So when we talk about that, it'll synergize really well with these two. And the Android 20, when you free play him, he's what we want to play on turn 3 to use leader skill for, right? And before we would always have to tap 1 and a Z energy, but now we get an extra energy to be aggressive with or save for defense, right? Which is something the deck kind of struggled with too, is having the hand to combo or like energy to defend with. But this guy, when you play him, you search top 7 and you can put a 17 or 18 under your destroyed West City, which is nice because you can get another target to play and just fuel that up to have cards to tuck under your 6-drop or 8-drop. But then when he's KO'd, you get to play a 17 or 18, same thing as your leader, with 3 equal to or less than your current energy from under destroyed West City, which is nice because now when you use your leader skill, you're getting 2 bodies on turn 3, right? Because you're going to play 1 from hand for a leader, a 3 cost or less, and then now this guy's going to play 1 from under, right? So now I can basically, like, I can play the 30k for free, I can play the new guy for free, or you just play the 3-drop, get double strike and a crit for free, right? All that's for free because you play this, and now I'm playing a double strike and a critical for free, and I still have 3 energy to play other things, which is like, so this definitely helps fix the issue the deck had a lot, right?
It was always very energy hungry, so this definitely helps.
Yeah, so that's really nice. Which the other support ties in with this too from the Z deck, which we'll talk about later, but it lets us get more consistency of tucking things and stuff. So that was the 6-drop. So these are all like turn 3 plays, value plays, and then obviously you can still play any of the stuff under it. For the Boss Monster is the 8-drop. This card's really good in the deck. It's double strike, minus is something 30k when you swing. You play for 2 energy by choosing a 17 and 18 card from the field or under Destroy West City, which is really good because now you can put this under it and make it a 30k double strike crit barrier card. So it's like they can't really, when you swing with it, they can't really do battle tricks to remove it if they had any like if blue tried to SGR it, right, with the Piccolo, Gohan SGR. So it's really crazy, and it has another combo with it too. And then the other effect is that you can remove it by placing it in your drop and play the 2 cards from under it that are 3 or lesses. And then you put it in your drop, right? So now I swing 30 double crit barrier with this guy, and then I remove it, and then if I tuck this thing under it, now I get a 30k beat stick for still all of the 2 energy costs, and I get to play this, which also now is going to draw me a card and bean any of my cards. If I haven't played a copy this turn, which is really strong.
And that 8-drop ability is activate main battle, right? And I believe it's not restricted to your own turn, right?
Correct. Yeah, you can do it on their turn because it's activate battle. So it's like I can swing with it and then wait, and then I can like break it apart to play the 2 cards and get that draw and bean. You can use this to bean your leader now, right, on defense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really strong too. It's like if I get floodgated or something, I can't swing anymore. I can remove this and play the new support, and now I can make my leader a 20k leader, and I also get to draw a card, and now I have 2 more 5ks I can combo off in defense if I need it to. And then this, where it also gets crazy too, is because of the Z extra that you stack under Destroy West City. This is the turn. Your turn 4 is when you're going into this. So you place 2 of your Z energy into your drop, and then you place this on top of Destroyed West City, and now you get to bean one of your 8 drops. So now it's a 35k double barrier crit for that first swing, right? And then once you break it apart, like you can all do this on turn 4 if you haven't been floodgated, then you can break it apart, swing with those cards, and then you put this back under your Destroyed West City, and then play the 8-drop back again. So you'll get the double strike and stuff, and you can tuck this guy again, the 3-drop, to still give it a barrier crit, because it's not, this apart's not like limit 1 or anything like that, right? Which is like really strong for the deck. You just can't break it apart again to free play your stuff like on your turn, but you can do it again on your opponent's turn for that defense like we talked about. And then the other benefit to that too is now you reset Destroyed West City, so you can do the activate main once per turn again to place 1 and draw 1, right? Because it's just like when you remove a Z leader from your Z leader, it resets those skills on your leader, right? So you get those again. It's the same thing. You're resetting it because now the Destroy West City's coming out again, right? All right. And then we got more of the red good stuff, basically, right? Obviously, a super combo. I chose Raditz. You could choose the Android 20 super combo that's meant for the deck. I don't like that one as much because it's the Z energy or Z card type thing, and sometimes you won't have that. So I like to just be able to draw. Defeating the demon, because we already play a 1-cost Destroyed West City. That's always 1 Z energy cost we have, and then the new 19 helping us generate Z energy kind of makes defeating the demon more live to play for that defense. The Yamcha will go in regards to the new support. We'll talk about when we talk about the Z deck, but you have a Z unison now that can allow us to have access to Yamcha, which is really good. The couple sets old. It's a couple sets old, but red staple, Android staple. You draw a card when you play it, and then you can combo him and something else to give you 10k combo power. And then my deck choice that me and Bobby like in this deck is the Super 17 here. We've seen it in like Kid Coup and stuff like that, people running it, but it becomes a barrier blocker. And then in this deck, you also have androids, right, in your Z energy, so you can still do the other effect to draw, switch it to active, and minus something, which is really nice. And why this is good too is, one, obviously we're playing the card that it's meant to be paired with, which gives us our Hellfighter 17, right, which we can combo from our battle area and rest mode. And then we have all these 17s, right? The 2-drop, the skillless, the 3-drop, the 6-drop, 8 drops. They all have the other 17 tag, which gives us the 2 cards we need to be able to play this guy for 1 energy. And a lot of time you're playing him on defense, like we talked about, where the deck struggled with having defense previously. Because now I'm getting to play this 30k barrier blocker that's also going to attack you next turn, right? So that's really good. And, you know, this guy's a dual name. And this one doesn't state that it has to come from your hand to be placed under. So technically when you do the effect to put it under this card, it gains the barrier crit as well, which is nice, right?
That's sweet. That's how that works?
Does it a card or is it a 17-18? Let me make sure I'm not... oh, no, never mind. It doesn't work. I lied. It's only a 17-18. I was about to say, that'd be crazy. They were smart. He's not both names, so I thought I got cool there. I haven't done it yet, but I was like, oh, that would be cool now that we're talking about it. But never mind. False advertisement. But yeah, so this gives a good defense as well. For overrun of choice, I'm doing Man on a Mission because you're already swinging crit a lot because of this new card, right? I was like, why not stick to the critical theme? So double crit seems really good for free in a deck that's playing a lot of value for cheap energy, you know? What's another one? You're getting cards out of your opponent's hand, you're getting negates out of their hand, or you're getting their life that isn't going to their hand. So I stuck with that theme. SCR, which is also a really good SCR now for red. Barrier removal for 1 energy and triple strike. You don't worry about the sand part because we're not going to have that. And then just getting to add 1 red card back to our hand, right? So super combos, any of our defensive cards, or any of our offensive cards if we're running out of copies. Really strong support there. Can push, I mean, on turn 3, like I said, you're free playing 2 bodies already, right? The double strike and the crit. And then you have energy to play, you know, you can play this guy, or you can play this guy, whatever you want to play on turn 3. You're probably going to play like those 2 bodies for free, play this, make it dual crit, right, for 1 energy. So you still have 2 energy, so then you can just play your triple striker here, and then keep energy for defense if you don't kill them, you know, so it's kind of insane.
Yeah, the SCR spot has always been kind of wonky for this deck because the best red SCR is, or has been, only for mono red Saiyans. So being an android has hurt this deck, so, you know, you're trying to find maybe Panzino or just something, you know, a black SCR or an off-brand red SCR, I guess, but that new Vegito really kind of fits nicely in the deck.
Yeah, for sure. It gives us a little bit better choice because we can't run like Light in the Dark and stuff like that that you normally want to run in your red decks. Simple defensive negate package. We're just running 2 testing and 3 explosives. You know, we're not a sand deck, so we can't really run the Vegito counter attack blocker now or anything like that. So it's pretty simple. And then we're also able to pick any of these up with our SCR too, right, which is nice. So that's pretty much the main deck with the new support of the main deck and the old archetype. Bobby, you got anything you want to touch on that I might have missed?
No, I mean, I think the deck was very energy hungry before. I think Gohank's getting to untap 1 when it awakened was like kind of what set it apart, right? Especially once we got the energy marker. If you went second, you got to play Baby Unison on turn 2 after you awakened, which was still just a really insane play. Red U7's going to be able to do it with this new anniversary box support coming up too. So I think some of the holes in the deck were fixed by that. It seems like especially that 3-drop Android 19 getting to play the 1-drop from the Z deck for free is like a really strong card and comboing as the energy. That the other new support card, the dual name, that seems like it's going to fit in a lot of different decks because that's kind of just generic support for anything running androids, right? Because
well, yeah, as long as it has a 17 or 18 to get that effect, that places under. But yeah, any generic Android leader can play it. So you can even play it in like the old Android 13 leader, the one from a few sets before this, because it's an Android leader, red Android leader, right? Just to get the draw and beam, which is always nice. And it's a 20k swing for 1 energy, right?
Yeah, the Red Super 17 deck that came out, I think, a set ago, that they just made the promo for, that deck has its leader swings, I think, 2 or 3 times in a turn. So if you get
Yeah.
to pay 1, draw 1, and give your leader a bean and get to swing with it 3 times, that's a ton of value. So I think they did a good job with. They forgot limit 1. It seems like on a lot of these cards for whatever reason, but they did a good job with fixing the problem. So I guess if we just take a look at we still have to talk about the other support in the Z deck, and then you can go over your Z deck choices and.
Yeah. They did the limit 1 on the bean and draw, which was smart. I like that they didn't do a limit 1 on the barrier crit when it's placed under, right? Because now it's like we can place it under the 8-drop twice and get that 2 times in a turn and stuff, versus like we would lose that barrier crit, which is nice because when we play it the second time and tuck it under again, our 8-drop's protected and more likely to bridge a turn because it has barrier, right? So it's really nice. But yeah, we can go over the brief Z deck. We've already hit on Destroyed West City and Excel Dance, which is old. The Android 20 we talked about as it came up. So the other support is this new Unison, Z Unison, which is really dope. What it does, one, it's a 1Z, 1 cost. So you can play it on turn 2. I've done a couple games, or even turn 3 with all that energy. It's a +2. And you get to tuck 1 under Destroyed West City and draw 1. So it gives you another effect. But it's really good because you're getting to dig more for your pieces. But you can also deck thin more because you can tuck one of these guys, the 17 or 18 here, and get another card out of your deck, right, to draw your other stuff that you don't tuck under Destroyed West City. So it really helps that consistency and seeing the pieces you need to see. And then it's once per turn, whenever you play one of your dual names, it gains 10k, so it becomes a 15k. So it's usually not gaining 15k till turn 3, right? It can on turn 2 if you free play the new dual name, which is nice, but usually it'll be turn 3 when you're playing the 6-drop, or even the new dual name, and then turn 4 the 8-drop. So it gets you a 15k swing, but sometimes you don't need that. Like some of these decks have 5k unison, so I'll just poke their unison with it. But the other really good effect too that can combo well on your turn 4 is the -4. You can beam 2 of your 3-drops. You can plus them 16 power, right? Which is really good because now you can make this guy, a 36k, and this a 46k or whatever. And then when you play this back on top, it's getting plus 32k. So now it's a 62k double crit barrier, right? So really strong. Or even if you beam, this thing plus 16, and then you beam the crit plus 16, and then you put those under, the power boost carries over to this card for the turn. So now you're swinging this big double striker, right? So it's like really good support, and it's a +2 unit, so it's not gonna just get wiped as easy.
Unless you're under Explosive Dance, then it's really bad.
True.
Because you'll never have that much juice to get rid of. But
yeah. So that's the other support. Really strong. Helps with consistency of the deck. I've really enjoyed this card being played. And usually if you play it on turn 2, most decks aren't clearing it on turn 2 that easy because it's 3 markers. And then again, you kind of like, if they do, it's like, well, that's 3 attacks that didn't go to my face. So, and then Defender of Life, as my teammate Breer mentioned in his last video, people like to time scum you. So, you can burn them down. Probably really don't ever have to worry about it in the deck. So this could honestly be anything you want. I'm not really worried about getting timed by life, but just of how aggressive this deck is. It swings big, it swings double, it swings crit. So, but just in case, you never know. And it's a double striker from the Z deck. This one as well, just to kill something. And it can be a 1 cost and become double. And this came up a couple games because you do have the 8-drop and you do have this. And then you do bean stuff, right? So because it doesn't have to be a original 30K.
Yeah.
So you can bean this and make it a 30K, and then now you have a way to play this guy. So that's pretty much the deck. Obviously, you can change it however you want. Most of it's 4-ofs because the consistency in the deck kind of plays the core. Then you can just do your own tech choices here. SCRs, overrealms, things like that.
All right. Well, thanks, Jerry, for throwing that out here for us and giving everybody a starting spot with this anniversary box support. Obviously, people are going to be excited to try this stuff out and see where it can go. So, if you're interested in playing this list and you have any questions for Jerry, please feel free to leave a comment below, and Jerry will get back to you, give you some thoughts, or if you have any insight that we're missing, any cool tech that we didn't mention that could be played in the deck, feel free to comment that also and help everybody out. I know the one card that stands out to me here is the Pan Anniversary Box card. Now that you get to do so much boosting of power with the Z Unison, and it'd be nice if we could find a way to fit that in. That seems like a pretty strong card. It always gets cleared, right? It's like it's the first thing your opponent addresses anytime you play it, but it is a good strong card. So yeah, if you have any tech ideas like that, hit us up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get as much content out for you guys. Masters and Fusion World. Eventually, we're going to talk about the new Fusion World set, and we're going to keep trying to pump these deck profiles out with the decks that we find that could be relevant. So I know we've got Surge Crew on the list. We've got Gogeta Xeno coming, so be on the lookout for that. So Jerry, once again, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.